think it's Jeremiah 29, where it says, "You will seek me and you will find me when you seek me with all your heart."
I was about to send my daughter to, some college campus, and I was scared to death. And yet I see like these people coming to Jesus.
All throughout the year 2024, everywhere we went, we were seeing the same thing. Every college campus we went to, every worship night that we were a part of, it was supernatural. That's the only way to explain it. It was just God pulling back the curtain and revealing himself. And so you might say today, I want that abundant life, and just turn around, turn back toward him. That's all it ever really needed to be, was just your heart pursuing me.
Yeah.
Just a simple, like, I love you.
What's up, my friends? Welcome to another episode of the Matthew West Podcast. I'm your host, Matthew West, and as always, I really hope you like it. I'm coming to you from the Story House here in Nashville, Tennessee. Of course, if you're watching this episode, then you know, because you can see it. But today is not Songwriting Day in the Story House. It's a podcast day, and I'm super excited about today's guest. We've become friends over the last year and a half, but even before we met, I was always inspired by his worship leading, his songs that he's written. If you've ever attended a Passion Conference in Atlanta, Georgia, he's also a worship pastor at Passion City Church, and he's a recording artist on Capital Christian. This guy's amazing, though. He's got a powerful testimony. We've been writing some songs together, and I'm excited to dive into all things music and just to hear what the Lord's been doing in his life. I think you're going to be inspired by this conversation. Let's go to the Story House with my friend, Kristian Stanfill. Kristian, how long have you been on staff at Passion City Church?
I've been on staff at the church for, I guess, going on 12 years.
Is that what it's called, staff, or are you artist in residence, or what?
Now it functions more as like an artist in residence, worship leader, songwriter. I help lead our Passion Music team. So whenever we go out on tour or different conferences and stuff, I'm giving leadership to that. But it's less of a day-to-day, like I'm in an office and I go to meetings all week and I'm scheduling musicians and worship leaders. It's less of that and more of a creative role now, which it suits me a lot more. For about 7 years, I had an office and I was in meetings, and I learned a ton. I learned a lot about leadership, being up close with Louis and other pastors at our church, learned so much. But one of the things I learned is that rhythm and that flow, it's not conducive to a lot of creativity or dreaming. And I need that, like you, I'm a songwriter. I have a wild imagination. I love to be on the go, and I like to be in new places, new cities, meeting new people.
Yeah.
That's just part of the way God wired me. So I'm in a much better role right now.
Dude.
Suited for me.
I hear the leaf blower. That's amazing.
You hear the blower?
Oh, dude,
sorry, guys.
Is he in your bedroom right now?
My lawn team is here.
Your lawn team.
My landscaping professionals. They're here. No.
The ultimate flex.
We're prepping the house for a graduation party, so that's what you're hearing right now.
Hey,
we got a little bit of help right now.
That's a good reason to do it, man. That's amazing. Yeah. So for 7 years, it was more traditional. Like, hey, you're coming into the office, you're punching a clock a little bit, and tell me, like, because you and I got to meet just in the last really year and a half, I think. We had met before, but getting to hang together and actually get to know each other and write together, that came about by way of you coming to Nashville to do some songwriting trips. Has that been part of like your new rhythm where you're, do you like to come to Nashville primarily to write, or are you writing at home and also taking trips to Nashville to write with different people?
Yeah, the rhythm of coming to Nashville to write I've been doing that for a lot of years. Definitely more regularly and more concentrated now. So, like I said, for 7 years being in the office and I was very hands-on with our worship team and everything going on. So it was just hard to get away. But, typically I do a lot of writing here at home, at our church, solo, getting ideas going. And then it's good for me to put, like when we wrote, I was probably in town for 4 or 5 days. It's good for me to put stuff like that on the calendar and have, I work really good with like a deadline, knowing like, hey, I'm going to be with Matthew and Jeff on this day and we're going to write.
Right.
And so it's good for me to have that in the, coming up.
When people come in from out of town, I feel like they're almost able to be a little more intentional than actually being in Nashville every day. Have you found that to be the case? Like, you got that schedule, you've reserved that time. It's almost like nothing's going to interrupt these 4 or 5 days. Like, you're coming in on a mission. It feels like friends that come in from out of town, it's just a highly productive time when they get there.
Yes. Yeah, it's like a singular focus, and I have my wife, Carrie, and my kids. They know where I'm going. They know what I'm going to do. I have their blessing and they're excited about it, so I feel like I'm there kind of like I'm able and allowed to be singularly focused on the songs that we're writing. And so I really like that rhythm. And also the drive from Atlanta to Nashville is so therapeutic to me. It's
Really?
4 hours in the car alone, some prayer, podcasts, music. And by the time I get to Nashville, I feel like my shoulders have relaxed and I'm breathing easy. I'm like, all right, I'm ready to do this. So I love the drive too.
Did you start, like, were you leading worship at a young age? Or tell me, like, do you remember the first time that you picked up a guitar? Was it in the form of leading worship at a church, or were you, playing rock and roll in a biker bar? Or like, what was the kind of the origin story of you realizing your love for music?
It would be a better story if I was playing rock and roll in a biker bar, but I don't have that story. No, my dad is obsessed with music. He loves music. He loves great songs. So there was always great music playing in our house, and I just caught the bug really early and found a guitar in his closet, an old beat up guitar. We restrung it. He taught me a few chords, and then I went to a camp, like a summer camp with my youth group, and there was a guy there playing guitar with a drum. He had a drum machine and acoustic guitar, and he was leading these little choruses, like every move I make, I'm making you. You make me move, Jesus. And I was like, what is happening? I didn't even know this was a thing. And I don't know, a dream was born, man. I went home and started learning all those songs. And then my youth pastor heard that I had been working on, singing and playing. And he more or less pushed me out on stage on a Sunday morning and was like, hey, we need music. And you're the only guy here that could maybe do this. And I went into it, terrified and kicking and screaming a little bit. And it went so badly. It was so terrible. I forgot all the lyrics. I couldn't get the strumming right. But that's the beautiful thing about church. It's such a safe place. And I felt so encouraged and like, hey, that was awesome that you tried that. You've never done this before. Let's just celebrate the fact that you got up there and tried. That's amazing. Now let's work on the strumming pattern and let's work on the lyrics and all that. So I had some really cool like leaders that were helping me get back up. That's kind of how it started. And then I kept leading through middle school and high school. And honestly, Matthew, we saw God do some incredible stuff. And when you get up close to a move of God at that age, it's so formative and it shapes you, and you kind of get a taste of something. You get a taste of glory, and you don't come back from that. Like, it's not something that you really get over. You kind of keep, and Scripture says we go from glory to glory with Him. And so it's like you keep pushing in and you keep going higher and deeper and you keep seeing more. And it's just this like beautiful pursuit, And so that all started 8th grade, 9th grade year for me.
Guys, my friends at Simply Earth have started a company that makes it easy to create your own candles, soaps, and more, even for beginners like me. With the Simply Earth recipe box, you can make your own DIY natural products. Emphasis on the word natural, meaning good for you. And yes, I hope to show you some of me making some of these products myself soon. Why try it? Each box delivers pure natural ingredients and simple recipe cards right to your door. So start making natural DIY products while listening to the Matthew West podcast, of course, each week. Now, they tell me they have over 6,000 5-star reviews, and each month brings a new theme to explore. Plus, check this out. This company, Simply Earth, donates 13% of their profits to help end human trafficking. How amazing is that? So do your part to help end human trafficking and sign up for Simply Earth. Are you ready to get started? Go to simplyearth.com and use code WEST to get a free car diffuser with your subscription. Don't wait. These guys are awesome. You're going to love it. Join the Simply Earth community today. Help end human trafficking. Go to simplyearth.com to get started. So is that when did you grow up in a Christian home, or were your mom and dad Christian and taking you to church all the time? And so you were at your family church's middle school and high school group, and that's when your faith began, not just your love of music, but I mean, do you remember that moment when you first accepted Christ? How old were you? What was your life? Where were you in that point in time?
I was pretty young. I mean, I was like 6 or 7 years old. I remember, as much as I could understand at 6 or 7, I understood like that God loved me enough to send his son to die for me, and I wanted to live forever with him. That's probably how I would have articulated it in some way around that time. So I went and like prayed with my mom. Funny thing is, I went to her one night. I was like, "Hey, I want Jesus to live in my heart." And then the next night, I was like, well, I just want to be sure that worked. So I like went back. I was like, hey, can we do this again? I just want to be sure. I did that for probably three or four nights. I was like, hey, I just want to be sure. And she was like, hey, we don't have to do this again. Like, it's good. You're good.
I love that.
So that was kind of like when it all began. But I would say around that time, 13 years old, 14, I started to understand. There was this speaker at this conference, at this summer camp I was talking about. His name was Dave Busby, and he's in heaven now. But man, he spoke with such authority, and he had such an affection for God and His Word. And he gave this talk about tasting and seeing that the Lord is good. And he was asking this question, like, have you tasted? Have you seen the goodness and the glory of God? And I remember being at that camp going like, I don't really know, like if I have, in the way that he's talking about it. And so I just started asking for that. And that started like a lifelong, just, I don't know, revelation, getting back into your bedroom at home and going, all right, God, I've got this Bible and I got this guitar and I got this desire to like meet with you. So I don't know what else to do. I'm just like here.
Yeah.
And man, that God finds those people. Like he finds those people that are seeking him, that want him, that want to meet with him and see his face. And man, that bedroom in that house became such a sacred space, such like a truly like sacred, holy place. And honestly, Matthew, like he's been bringing me back to that recently. I just turned 42. So even in the last in my late 30s and early 40s, he's reminding me of that bedroom, and he's going, that's all it really ever needed to be, Kristian. That's all it ever really needed to be, was just your heart pursuing me. Just a simple, like, I love you and I want to hang out with you. And he's like, don't make it anything more than that. It's not that complicated. So it was a really sweet time, a really simple time, really pure.
When you say he's bringing you back to that, which, by the way, I can relate 100% to the hey, I think I'm going to pray that again just to make sure. For me, it was the movie A Thief in the Night that they used to show at my church.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like where they, the rapture came. Did you ever see the old 70s?
It's terrifying.
Oh my gosh. Dude, every time we would watch that movie, I'd be like, I'm just gonna pray again, make sure I'm good. It was like still trying to understand the message of God's grace. But like I remember coming home from school one day. I will never forget this as long as I live. I remember coming home from school, and we lived behind my parent. My dad was a pastor, and we lived in a house like there was a field behind our church, and then my parents' house where we lived. And I came home.
Okay.
The front door was open. The garage was open. The cars were in the garage, and nobody was there. And I was like, Mom, Dad, Mom, Dad, Mom. And then I ran through the field the church.
It's
all
like happening.
The rapture's happened, and I've been left behind. And I remember like panicking. And then all of a sudden my mom goes, I'm right here. And she could see that I was like freaking out. She's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, oh, nothing. I'm good. I went right into the sanctuary and hit my knees again. Like, Lord, if I'm this scared, something must be wrong.
That's so good, dude.
I totally remember.
That's so good.
So when you say about, I think I'm going to pray that again just to be sure. But when you talk about like the Lord bringing you back to that, like that's such a sweet sentiment. And like the simplicity of what you're talking about. Do you feel like you're at a point in your life where you feel like God's calling you back to the simplicity of that? God, I'm here. I'm alone with you in my Bible, and I don't know what else, but I'm just here. And he's like, that's all I want. I want you to be with me. Do you feel like there's a returning to that after? Is there something that happens when you're dedicating your life in ministry and on stage and you're touring and you're at Passion Conference every year, and it's like you're saying, like you're getting to experience these unbelievable, powerful moves of God. Is there some detachment that you're at risk of experiencing when you're the one kind of on stage? You're part of the move of God, but you're sort of, for lack of a better way of saying it, leading that move of God when you're the one on stage at Passion for all these years and doing all these things. Like, tell me about the return and why, where is it that we go? Because it's never like, it's not like you go off the deep end and you turn your back on God and deconstructed your faith. But like,
yeah,
you can,
that's right.
So you could still have the appearance of being close, but feel like your heart maybe has wandered off course, and there is that call to return. And maybe people that aren't in a ministry position could still relate to that. I think we can all relate to that if you've been a Christian for any amount of time, but talk about that. What is it that happens as you've been leading worship all these years and experiencing these moves of God?
Yeah. Well, I think it happens. It's like baby steps, it's like tiny little, like small degrees of change, 1 degree, 2 degrees here. But over time, it just creates a wide gap, the distance between, where I am and being aligned with God's heart and God's way. It just kind of happens like over time, and you look up and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I think the thing that leads us away is our pride. And, when you're in your 20s and for me, you start getting more opportunity, and maybe the stages get bigger and the number of people, and I don't know if anyone's really equipped to handle that kind of thing. It's hard for anybody, and anyone I've talked to, it's hard for anybody. And it's just, to be honest, your pride expands and swells, and you start to see, things happen in the room, and songs start to do certain things, and you kind of get this like this sense of like, yeah, I can do this. I am doing this, and look at, and just being, brutally honest.
Yeah.
And then, you start to get the pat on the back from other people, and you see certain people lean towards you, and you feel that doors are being opened and you're in different circles and you're like, oh man, this kind of tickles my flesh a little bit. Like I like the way this feels, you know? And then, the Lord was just really gracious to me in 2020. Toward the end of that year, I just had a real humbling, just in his kindness, the Lord exposed a lot that was going on in my life, just underneath the surface, that had gone unnoticed, untreated, ignored for so many years. And he just was like, hey, it's time to deal with this. I want you to have a heart of flesh, a soft heart, a tender heart. And you've got this heart it's calloused and it's prideful, and you have, vices and addictions, and it's time to let my fire come and purge all of that out. And man, it hurt so bad. And it was a really, really tough, couple of years. But I look back on it now and think that's the greatest gift that my father has ever given me.
Wow.
Is that humbling, that bringing me low, letting me hit that bottom, because from that bottom he goes, now a resurrection is possible.
Yeah.
Now I can raise you up, and man, the life and the joy and the fruit, the authority, the peace and the freedom that I feel and I'm experiencing now in my life is so worth the pain that I had to go through to get to where we are today. So yeah, it's, and I come to find out that that's not, it's a pretty common story. Everybody kind of has to go through that story, their version of it, come to the end of themselves. And I think that's proof of life. It's proof of God's life. It's proof of his spirit inside of us, that it doesn't feel good to be not aligned with God's heart when you're his kid. Like when I'm his son. And so his spirit dwells in me. And so there was going to come a point where I go, I don't like it here. Like, I don't like that I'm far away. I feel far away from the Father, and I don't like it. This is not how I'm meant to live. So I'm just really grateful that, like a good shepherd, he just brought me back home.
That's powerful, man. Thank you for sharing that. Gosh, that's incredible. And then you get the chance to, I see all the places you're traveling to, and now getting to share from that new place of authority. And I feel it, like when we hang out in the room together, like just, one, you're such a gifted songwriter, and your instincts, but there's just I sit down in the room with us together, and I feel like we're going to write something honest today, because it just feels like,
yeah.
And it's interesting that the first song we wrote together was a song about returning. And I don't think I even realized, just the part of the testimony that you just shared, it just kind of hits me in a whole new way. One, it speaks to me because I can relate so much to everything that you just shared. And I think, like I said earlier, that's not a problem that's exclusive to worship leaders or artists who are in the spotlight. Like you just said, every single one of us, if you've been a Christian for any amount of time, the enemy is going to work in he does it in the form of baby steps a lot of times, to get us to wander off course, to get us, like you said, where our hearts are no longer a heart of flesh, but a calloused heart. And so to be willing to be broken down and to realize, looking back, what I love that you just said, I don't want anybody listening to this to miss that, is you said it was worth the pain. Because to be back in alignment with the heart of your Father is that is just so stinking powerful. And one of the things that I loved talking to you about when we first got to meet together was, at the time, you were getting to travel to these college campuses. And if anybody's seen on social media or watched the news just in the last couple of years, there's just been this it just feels like a powerful revival taking place, and specifically with the young generation and Generation Z, and watching these things take place. And I was watching Jenny Allen, speaking at, I think, Auburn University, and then it started to spread to these different schools. And then I see that you're out there leading worship as people are getting baptized on these college campuses. And at the time that you and I were hanging, I was asking you about that because I was about to send my daughter to, one of those dens of iniquity, some college campus, and I was scared to death. And yet I see like these people coming to Jesus and accepting Christ, and all these college students just having a spiritual hunger. I just want to hear from you, like, after you've been through what you've been through, and you feel like the Lord's just really resurrected your heart and your life, and now you're getting a chance to go stand on a college campus and you're watching what's taking place. Can you just kind of take us to that moment, or those moments that you got to experience? And I just love to hear from you. Like, what do you feel like you're seeing and experiencing the Lord doing as you're traveling around and singing these songs?
It's amazing. Well, I think at the heart of revival, there's revelation. And that's what happened for me, all throughout history, even in the story of God's people. A return, like revelation precedes a return, and revelation precedes a revival. And revelation meaning like our spiritual eyes are open to see something of God that is so captivating and awe-inspiring and humbling and terrifying in some ways that it just rearranges every part of our life. It puts everything into perspective. And that's what happened, to me when I talk about that moment in 2020 and the years following. It was this revelation of God's grace, yes, but also just his glory and his beauty and his holiness. And we started to see a real shift at Passion 2024. We do Passion Conference annually, the beginning of every year. And Passion 2024, there was just something so significant and special about these days. It was so clear that Jesus was revealing himself to a generation and to us as well. And we had some moments there at conference that left us all, and this is not hyperbole, but these moments that left us changed forever. Like these glimpses of God, these experiences in his presence, revelation coming out of his word. It was just so powerful. And then all throughout the year 2024, everywhere we went, we were seeing the same thing. So every college campus we went to, every worship night that we were a part of, it was supernatural. That's the only way to explain it. It was just God pulling back the curtain and revealing himself and giving us a glimpse of who he really is. And like I said, when we see that, man, everything else just, it gets exposed for what it really is.
Yeah.
It's lesser gods. It's lowercase g gods. And when the one true living God comes into focus, when he comes into view, everything else falls away. Everything else just it bows down. It's like, okay, no, you are Yahweh. You're the one true God. And students were catching a glimpse of that one true living God and just reaching and running for him, going, you are the one I've been looking for. You will satisfy the deep desires in my soul. You will fill my heart up with joy and peace and freedom and life. I want you, Jesus. And it wasn't man-made. It wasn't like hyped up or overly emotional. It wasn't like we had a good plan and it all just happened like perfectly. It was, it's messy, it's gritty. There's a lot of humanity in it, but it's so real. And we were watching students come down front, all these different college campuses we were at with Jenny Allen and Jonathan Pokluda and just preaching the gospel. Jenny would preach confession and repentance, and Jonathan Pokluda would just preach the gospel. It was very simple. And hundreds of students every night would come down front and say, I want Jesus. I want to live for him. I want to turn from my sin. And man, it's happening all over the world. It's happening in this generation for sure. But I had come straight from one of those nights at the University of Tennessee to write with you and Jeff.
Yeah.
And not knowing that your daughter was about to go to the University of Tennessee, and you as a dad was like, oh, this is crazy. I'm sending my daughter to school here, and I hadn't told you anything about these nights yet. And I was like, I'm just learning about you and your family. You're like, yeah, my daughter's going to school, and we're dropping her off, and it's, as a dad, it's all X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, oh man. And I was like, well, where is she going? And you tell me University of Tennessee.
Yeah.
And my heart just started going do 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 do. Like, this is crazy. And I was so excited to be able to tell you I just came from University of Tennessee, and revival is legit breaking out on that campus. It's crazy. So it was a very cool little just in the wisdom and the sovereignty of God to put us together on that day, and to be able to write Come to Jesus together is very cool.
You have no idea how much how much peace the Lord used you to give to me, and then I was able to come home and carry that to my wife as well. And just you're not going to believe what Kristian just told me he experienced right on the campus where we're about to take our daughter. It was just if we ever doubt that God is intricately involved in and concerned about even the tiniest details of our lives, in the grand scheme of the world's problems, I think we tend to, I remember so many times where I've thought, I don't want to trouble God with this. There's a scripture where the disciples don't trouble the teacher. And it's sometimes I think my mentality is I'm not going to trouble God with this little thing, right? But just in that moment, it was it felt like a whisper from the Lord, you see, I've got you. I know what you're worried about today, and I know where your child is going to school, and I know what I'm about to do there, and she's my child. I'm in control. You know what I mean? It really spoke to me in such a powerful way. And I got to tell you, bro, one of my favorite people I've gotten to hang out with in the last couple of years is you. And one of my favorite songs I've gotten to be a part of is that song that we wrote that day. And then we got to write another song, which is, you're so good. You're so gifted. And even as you're talking today, I'm going to go back and listen to this episode, because you've said about 5 titles that I'm going to text you because you're talking in song right now. I just want you to make sure that you know that. So, but man, I can't thank you. I can't thank you enough for sharing that with me when we were hanging together. It meant so much to me. And now you, are actively writing, and I gotta imagine that coming out of just like a song like Come to Jesus was written, somewhat inspired by those experiences you were having on those college campuses. Those experiences of revelation, those experiences of these revivals taking place on college campuses goes and fuels your creative tank, right? Do you feel like you just continue to write from a new well and perspective, seeing what's taking place? Has it informed the songwriting even more when you're out there watching? You said all these kids were coming forward and getting baptized in troughs or something. You're seeing that, and then you're wanting to speak to that in the songs that you write. Is that kind of new fuel, creative fuel?
Yes, absolutely. It's so inspiring. As a creative person, when you see God on the move, it makes you want to express it, write about it and express it. I think the other thing about writing songs is it helps us be active participants in what God is doing right now. So I'm seeing God on the move right now, and then you and I are going to write about it. And there's a cool we're collaborating with God in what He's doing in this moment on the earth, and I think that's so exciting. That's so thrilling to think we're seeing a move of God, and we get to write about it. We get to be a part of leading it, it will always be wild to me that God would use guys like us to be a part of what He's doing. But yeah, it's extremely inspiring, and there are a lot of songs, you know, like all the songs that we wrote this year for Passion came out of these experiences. So the things that I just talked about, all these new songs that you hear on the new Passion record, they're all just straight from what we saw with our own eyes. This isn't like,
it's awesome.
you know, oh, this, you know, this sounds like a cool thing to say, or, oh, this sounds like a cool melody. It's like, no, like we like lived this stuff, and it's coming out. It's coming out in the songs.
And you feel that.
So that's very cool.
Yeah, and you can feel it when you listen to it. It's unbelievable. I'm always amazed by how quickly you'll have Passion Conference, and then how soon after does the live recording get like, that's a pretty unbelievable feat that you guys pull off.
Yeah, our team is awesome. Yeah, it's really, really quick. I mean, we capture everything, and then our team at Six Steps and Capitol, they start really quickly, just pulling everything out.
It's unbelievable.
You know, there are some like Come to Jesus was one of those moments. Lamb's Book of Life, one of those moments where you just know, like, there were a couple things that happened that you're like, we know that was a moment where it was so clear that God was at work in the room and in this moment. So we know we want to go back and listen to that and you know, clean it up and get it ready. But yeah, our team does an amazing job of sorting through all of it and turning it around quick. I'm still not sure how they do it.
I don't either. It's awesome though, and you feel those recordings. You can feel the arena. You can feel the energy, and it's so powerful. You're getting ready to do in the fall of this year. You had mentioned before that Passion will go on tour as a church, basically. I mean, but it's this fall you're going on tour with Louis Giglio, right? Crowder and Carrie and Cody Carnes. Is that where you? How many cities is that, and where can people find out? Is that already on sale and being promoted?
Yeah. You can go on to Crowder's socials or Passion Music socials and find all the dates and all the details there. But it's going to be so fun, man. You know, Crowder is at Passion City Church with us and with Louis. And then Carrie and Cody, they feel like they're such great friends and a part of the Passion fam for so many years now. Yeah. And Crowder's, you know, idea and heart in it all is so cool. He's like, I just want it to feel like family and church, and we're just going to have a real great time, you know, singing true songs about God. You know,
is
he's
that what
so
he says?
Great. Yeah. So I'm really excited about it, man. And as you know, being a dad and a husband, when you leave home and you go and you do something, you really want your yes to be like the right yes and a meaningful thing, you know, and we all feel so confident that these are going to be really special nights, not just like tour, like business as usual, but like calling on God, calling on heaven. And I think already we've had a Zoom call and some conversation around it, and I think it's going to be a really, really sweet night. So
man, I can't wait. I hope you're coming somewhere near me. I want to bring my family to come and worship with you all. Hey, I wondered if I was just thinking about this. Maybe a great place to close out today would just be, I just can't help but think that, you know, somebody listening to this, with as much as what you shared earlier resonating with me, somebody else is maybe, if they're taking an honest assessment of where they're at in their life or the condition of their heart, maybe that comment about the baby steps has really resonated with somebody and gone, you know what, if I'm really taking an honest look, man, I'm pretty far away from that bedroom with my Bible and feeling that closeness to God that I had when I was a little kid or whatever. I wonder if you could just speak to that person who wonders if it's like, oh, it's always going to be this way, or just that's what happens when you're a Christian. You just get calloused, and you're never going to experience the closeness to the Father that you once did when you were younger. What would you say to encourage somebody today who's feeling like those baby steps have turned into miles? Man,
that's so great. Well, Well, the first thing I would say is that you may feel far from the Father, but he's not far from you. He's close. And, Scripture shows us that his heart is moved and stirred by people who turn around. Repentance, it catches the attention of our Father. And so I would just say, from wherever you are, you just turn around. And you may not, quote unquote, feel it today. I think so many times we qualify significant events in life with how much we feel it. But a lot of times obedience isn't something you feel. It's just something you do. And, you respond to the truth by turning around, changing your direction and going, I'm going to turn away from this rebellious or sinful way or act, and I'm going to turn back toward God. And that might be all you can say to him today. Is just say, hey, I want to turn around. I know this isn't like, Jesus said in John 10, he said, the enemy, the thief, comes to steal, kill, and destroy. But Jesus says, I have come that you may have life to the full, abundant life. And so you might say today, I want that abundant life, and just turn around, turn back toward him. And then, the other thing that pops into my head from Jeremiah, I think it's Jeremiah 29, where it says, you will seek me and you will find me when you seek me with all your heart. And that's just an invitation from God to seek him. He's just looking for people that just are pursuing him. It's just looking for him. And when we look for him, we find him. He's not hiding. He's not playing games. He wants to be found by all of us. And so he will avail himself and reveal himself if you just turn around and seek him. Yeah. And God finds people that are looking for him. Yeah. So just turn around today from wherever you are.
Man, that's awesome, Kristian. I love that he will be found too. Like he's not playing hide and seek. I love that scripture has spoken to me so many times of like, when I seek him with all my heart, I will find him. Not I might, I will. What a great encouragement. So anybody out there that needs to just make that decision today to turn around. Kristian, thanks for hanging with me today, dude. I'm looking forward to the next time we get to pick up guitars and hang together, but obviously we're going to send links to your music for everybody to go check out. The latest music that you're putting out. Do you think you'll be putting out a full record this fall or next year, or what's your, just so everybody can be ready for that?
I think maybe another single coming this summer, and then another project coming early fall. So check it out. I
love it, man. Well, dude, you are so awesome. You're so gifted, and the Lord speaks through you, whether it's a song you've written, a song you're leading on stage, or even just a conversation like this, or just putting a dad's mind at ease through telling a story of what you're seeing the Lord doing at the college campus. So thanks for hanging with me today, Kristian. You're awesome, man.
Thanks, Matthew. Thanks for having me. Love being with you, man, always.
Hey, thanks for listening and watching. If you enjoy the Matthew S. podcast, be sure to share it with people. Tell your friends and family. And maybe if this episode encouraged you, and you can think of somebody that might be encouraged by what Kristian had to share it with them, man. I love doing this podcast with you. Thank you for joining me on this journey. And thanks to my guest, Kristian, man. Powerful, powerful testimony. And go listen to his music today, all right? Be encouraged by it. Maybe it's been a minute since you spent some time in worship. Maybe you just sit in your car for a minute before you go in the store, or put it on in your house. The song we wrote, Come to Jesus, is one that speaks to me in a powerful way, and I think it'll speak to you and remind you that you can always turn around. Thanks for listening. Remember, it's your story for his glory. I'll see you next week.